Welcome everybody. I'm joined once again by Steve. Say hello, Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
And we are here to rank dark side objectives. So there are 16 dark side objectives from the non-virtual card decipher only format, and we're going to rank them. And did we decide on three or four tiers?
I think we're gonna go four tiers.
Four
for
tiers.
This one. Yeah.
And one thing to note kind of at the top is, as we started to think about this, the dark side objectives are just way more viable, generally speaking. There was just a lot more kind of viable options than there were for light side. So this was a bit more difficult to make. But Steve, do you have any other thoughts at the top?
No, I think I think we can just dive right into it on this one.
Okay. So let's start with the unplayable one. So we're gonna call this our D tier right here. So Imperial Occupation, due to the nerfs on operatives, this is virtually unplayable.
Yeah.
Is that right, Steve?
That's right. Yeah. As many of you know, when it came out in Special Edition, this and the light side version of it were overpowered and took down. Basically, every deck was playing it, so they nerfed operatives hard with a rules change, and so it makes this unviable even as a platform. Yeah.
So simple. Last place is the one that you can't even run. I'm going to talk about this one because I've tried running this a couple times. This is the dark side equivalent of the Battling in Watto's Graveyard. Junkyard, yeah.
Could be his graveyard also, non-canon. But.
And this is like the dark side kind of equivalent for this. And you're trying to get Watto out in the junkyard. And I just could never find a way of making it super viable. I think it's fun. You want to run Watto's Chance Cube and stuff. But once again, I think that it just isn't an incredibly powerful. That's not to say it can't be a fun deck. But from my experience, no parts, no deal, and then the other side is you're a slave, just isn't a super powerful deck, which isn't to say you can't have fun with it. So next one, Steve?
Sure. Next one we'll mention is Imperial Occupation.
Or Endor.
Endor Operations, yeah. This one, I think there are builds of it that people run sometimes in the Decipher Cards only format, or maybe Premier Death Star 2. It's an okay platform if you just want to do some shenanigans, some big blue vehicles on Endor. But it's very card intensive, like Rebel Strike Team. So I don't think as an objective itself it does a lot, but it can be an okay platform to just battle on Endor.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of what we were talking about. Some people just run this just to play on Endor. So if that's what you're planning to do, then that's fine. This next one, carbon chamber testing. I think with some of the Reflections 3 card, what's the specific one?
Well, that's for the Dark Deal.
I'm sorry, yeah, actually, this one is just, I think the V cards have made this much more viable.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
But without virtual cards, I think that this is pretty hard to actually freeze Han, and it's also very card intensive, and you have so far to trek to actually do it. You can just spend like turn after turn trying to move. So I think that this one, accordingly is sort of in the last card in our D tier.
But with virtual cards, I think it can win tournaments.
With virtual cards, I think you move up, right? But we're just talking no virtual cards. So, do you want me to do this one?
I'll do that one also because I don't know the combat as well.
This is sort of the dark side equivalent of the Duel of the Fates. You're trying to battle in the feed generator core. And while I think it gets you a ton of force generation right away, I think that using Maul is just not as powerful as sort of like the Qui-Gon and Obi combination. And I also think that there's way more ways of sort of getting punished for this. This is okay, but I think besides the huge amount of force generation you're going to get early on, it's not great. So that's all I'll say for that. We got a lot to go through.
I'll just quickly touch on My Lord, is that legal? I think this is another one that it sort of depends on what card pool you're running, and Senate can be good if built. And I think for Darkside, the goal is to run Nemoidians and Senators, but I've just personally found that it is pretty beatable if the light side decides to do their own thing and pretty much ignore what you're doing at the Senate, and a strong light side deck can defeat it pretty easily. But it had its day in the sun, I think, at one point.
Yeah. Next up, My Kind of Scum, and then the other side, I keep forgetting to do this for both, Fearless and Inventive. This is sort of your generic alien package, and I've never actually successfully done much with this. I tried running a Jawa rep deck once. So you choose an alien to be your rep, if you will. Maybe there's some fun ways to play this. Steve, have you had any success with this?
I've never built this, but I have seen some people do decently with it. I just don't. I think even though there are a lot of cards that can make non-unique aliens strong. I think Abyssins are one of the popular aliens to build around. No, I haven't seen it be particularly successful, but it's a contender, I guess.
Okay, you want to do this next one?
Sure. This one, I think this deal is getting worse all the time. I struggled with where to put this in the rankings because it gets vastly better if you have access to the Reflections 3 card. They must never again leave this city. But this is actually a pretty good objective. I think it's like in between B and C tier because it can be Dark Deal is really strong, and if you can set it up, it is sort of overpowering. But without that Reflections 3 objective, I think it struggles a bit. So I'll put this in the C tier overall, but it could definitely bump up if you're playing with Reflections 3 cards.
Okay, and we're moving to our B tier now.
Yeah.
So we did 4 tiers because, like I said, and the thing is, like, you really even most of these are viable-ish, right? Yeah. And Reltier Ops is very good, and we were talking about the nerf that it kind of saw with Unita, right? And so without Unita, this is probably actually S tier or something.
Or definitely A tier. Yeah.
But with Unita, I think it suffers a little bit, but it's still, that's one card, and if your opponent doesn't know that you're running Reltier Ops, then it's pretty good. So we have front, and the back is in the hands of the Empire.
And just why this is really good is that on its front side, it makes every rebel deploy +2 at your Reltier locations, which is like having a Goonie Tay out for light side. And then the back side, it nerfs all of your opponent's force drains everywhere. It makes rebels deploy very hard to get them on the table, and Reltier battle destinies increase because this kind of does everything. But the problem with Unita is that with that card in existence, then it gives a force activation bonus to the light side of every one of your Reltier sites and makes all their cards very cheap. So that's bad.
Next up, this is kind of we were talking about this objective. I was like, maybe I want to run this. So we're both playing in a Premier to Death Star 2 league on Gemp, and this is kind of a fun card, although you do need a card from Tatooine for it. But this is sort of the Death Star 2 or Death Star destroying planets package. And I think it seems like it's a really good space intensive deck if you want to go that way. It is a bit card intensive, so you need to run a lot of cards and have quite a few cards out. So that is one downside. And that's about all of these, right? When you think about 60 cards as your life force, every card that you choose to devote towards moving forward your objective is another card that's not your life force. So you're always making that choice. And that's one of the best things about this game. But this is pretty card intensive, but I think a lot of fun to be kind of blowing away planets. So set your course for Alderaan, and then the other side is the ultimate power in the universe.
Let me say one more thing about this. I've been recommending this objective for some new players because it is very cheap monetarily to build. You don't need Emperor Palpatine for it. You don't even really need Darth Vader for it. At least certainly he can help. You can just, and it's a lot of the cards you're going to run are from Premiere and New Hope, the first few sets. So yeah, give it a look, and it has a very linear line of play in the beginning. It can be easy to practice over and over again which sites to get out and so forth.
Yeah, that's actually maybe that's a good thing to flag. Also, is what are good for beginners. So set your course for Alderaan. None of these are actually. I'm looking back at these. I guess Endor Operations.
Testing maybe.
Endor Operations, Carbon Chamber Testing are pretty easy to run as well. So maybe these are the 3 that so far.
There's a couple coming up also that are expensive.
Next in our, I think we're still doing B tier here. Yeah. So Isp Operations. I think this used to be very good, and it's still fairly good. Basically, you're everything becomes a spy in your deck, which is great for just jumping the light side. You want to run maybe 6 to 8 Outer Rim Scouts. That's the whole appeal of that card. You can run a space package. You want to run a space package. You don't have to. So this is the Isp Operations, and the other side is Imperial Sinister Agents. This is just also such a fun flavor, as you kind of get into like Star Wars lore, like who are the ISB, right? And it's like the Imperial Secret Police. And, it's a very flavorful card, and I think it kind of makes a lot of fun, and you can still run a pretty big Coruscant package, I think, with like Emperor Palpatine out. And I'm thinking about running this. I need to build a deck around it though. So any thoughts on it, Steve?
No, that I think covers it. I've played it before, not quite as familiar with this one.
Yeah.
I'll take the next one. Court of the Vile Gangster. This is our next one. This is an objective I ran for a very long time through high school and part of college. And then it's another one that you can play as a new player for very little money, because you are absolutely not going to run anybody that's not an alien or a droid in this, most likely. So you're not going to run Emperor Palpatine or Vader. You don't need them. You can run all the cheap aliens. And it's just fun to get the expanded universe bounty hunters in there. One thing to note about this, most people don't flip this objective. It's one of the rare ones that you actively avoid flipping because you want the ability to pull independent starships and ping your opponent for force damage. The backside is about setting up ways to feed their captives to the Rancor or the Sarlacc, which I did go for a while, but that's not really where the action is. It's really on the zero side here.
Yeah.
But yeah, always fun to run bounty hunters.
And sort of the mirror of profit by this, I think. All right, we're gonna move now to our A tier, and I will note that as we've gone through these, I'm kind of ranking them, based on like worst to best within this tier, but it's not necessarily definitive. But our first A tier is going to be the hunt down and destroy the Jedi. So this is a great, vehicle to weaponize Vader and just kind of have him kill a bunch of Jedi. I think it's also very flavorful, and I've only played it like once or twice, like with my own decks. I guess I'm trying to think of other. Visage is super annoying.
Yeah,
when you're a light side player, it's just so annoying, and it also just penalizes you if you're doing something kind of like, I don't know, like strange, kind of solitaire. It doesn't match up super well against Visage of the Empire.
Yeah, this is this has been a top tier objective from day one in Special Edition to the present. I think every meta it's been good as far as when I was playing, at least, and it's good now in open with virtual cards. And it's a reactive deck, so you're going to be going to where your opponent is. It gives you a great setup package with sites that give you force, and your opponent does not get force. You're going to have a massive activation differential towards you. So this is very powerful. I'll let you take that one.
Sure. Agents of Black Sun is great. This is sort of the dark side equivalent of what is I forget the reflection.
Watch Your Step.
Watch Your Step.
So this is broken as Watch Your Step.
It's not as broken, but it's you're just trying to get Shizor out, and it's fun. You get to have Guri, and I always run a bunch of Vigos as well, because they're actually rather powerful. So you kind of want to get Shizor and then Guri. Because she's a droid, you can run off switch, or the Hoth card that you can't target a droid, and there's some very
is that switch off?
Switch off, right? It's from Hoth, and basically when Guri's with Shizor, he can't be targeted because she's there, and then you can throw switch off and you can't target Guri, and it's just like it can become very annoying and abusive that you just can't kill Shizor. So this is fun, and it's also, I would say this is fairly beginner friendly as well. And maybe we'll make a little pile at the end of what's the most beginner friendly for people, but this is a lot of fun to run, and pretty powerful because Shizor is pretty good as well as Guri, and the Vigos can help with force drains. I'm going to take the next one because I think the last one is your favorite. Invasion. I've run this a ton of times and I really enjoy it. I think I'm about to play Steve here, maybe with my Invasion deck. So this is your quintessential battle on Naboo deck, and it's much better than the light side equivalent. I forget the name, but
we have a plan.
Yeah, we have a plan. That's right. I was like, we must accelerate our plan. No, but this is just a really great package. Battle droids are incredibly powerful. You still see people using this droid rack, so I just throw the droid, that's where they die. It's like a droid Baka tank. You can run activate the droids, which I think makes it basically like cancel the force train, if I'm remembering correctly. So this is great, really powerful, pretty easy to flip, and then once you flip, battle droids basically always deploy or -1, but also get 2 battle destiny. It can just get really abusive. Or activate the droids actually allows you to retrieve 1 force. That's what it is. Retrieve or activate 2. But it's kind of got everything, and playing against this is a pain in the ass when it's all out. So that's why it's our number 2 objective and in our A tier. All right, the last
The
one.
last one.
No surprise here.
Bring him before me, and actually, I think that in the A tier, one can make a case for a couple of these. But yeah, bring him before me is it's a really cool objective. It's the strength of this is actually not necessarily anything that's written on this card, but it's the fact that you can pull the Emperor's power from your deck, because you're going to start the throne room. You're going to be able to pull the Emperor Palpatine immediately on your first turn, and then you're going to get the Emperor's power, which is an effect that deploys in the throne room. And what that does is it lets you either lose the effect, but more likely you're going to lose the top card of your reserve deck in order to add a Battle Destiny whenever the Emperor is present in the throne room. And that's the ability to add a Battle Destiny. Just once I think it's once per turn.
Supercharges.
Whenever you
Supercharges your ability to win battles.
Yeah. So you can just put down any character that draws Destiny by himself, ability 4, otherwise draws Destiny, and then you're gonna get 2 Destinies. And if you have ways to add other Destinies, you can just end a game right there. So the other stuff about flipping Luke to the dark side and stuff is kind of fun. And actually, I think that is the back. If your back is against the wall, you can't figure out what to do. You can try that. But usually, what you're going to be doing is using this to add Destinies all over the board. And you also, Luke is captured in with Vader. So any decks that are reliant on Luke, you remove Luke from the equation right there. There's a lot of, it's a very reactive deck. You're gonna be battling on your opponent's turf. Big activation bonus with the Emperor. So yeah, it's fun and powerful.
I cannot stand playing against bring him again before me. Okay, real quick, I'm just gonna remove some of these and put the ones that are most beginner friendly. Steve, you can agree or disagree with me here, but just want to put some stuff out for, if you're getting started with the game, maybe these are good to build a deck around. And ultimately, that's what objectives are about, right? Is they're about what can you take this card and then build around, right? And I think that can be a really hard part of building a deck is like, how do I start?
Yeah, that's right.
It's like the first step or the tyranny of the blank page. So I think any of these you can take and you're going to be able to see, you're starting the Endor system, you start these 2 locations edition, and then sort of build around that as a platform. So I think these are the 6 that I would put
especially
out.
if you're playing in paper and not on GIMP and where money is an object. Some of these other ones like getting started with Bring Him Before Me or Hunt Down is a serious financial investment. Also get the Vader's and the Emperor.
So these you could build each of these decks for probably under $100, which I know is still serious money, but it is more affordable than
the cost of a board, like a board.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video, and a special thanks to Steve for allowing me to come crash his house and film this video. So we'll catch you guys next time, and have a good one.